Here we go. Please continue.
Thanks, Katharina. Then, in the next picture, we see lots of trees, but you also see a dead tree in the back. And now the question is also, what functions does an apparently dead tree fulfill? Also in regard, if we feel somehow like, you know, in a bad mood with less energy, I mean, what do we still do? Or what do we still function? And here you just see it from the far, but also from the close. I mean, also dead trees, they are highly important because they are home for lots of insects, for birds. It's a sign of biodiversity. We actually promote dead trees in forests. So actually, if you think, I mean, dead trees, it's when the tree has reached the optimal living time, it starts getting sick. So also when we are close to the pension, we have our strong phase in the middle 40 or 15, and then we're getting older, we're getting gray hairs. And I always encourage also in firms or in families, elderly people, experienced people, they have such an important function because they can give nutrients, experience to younger people. They can share those experience, so they have still a value. And also, if you are maybe in that condition, it's still you fulfill different functions, even if you might be apparently looked at you are in an unhealthy situation. That's also to reflect. Maybe if you are in an unhealthy situation, it's maybe I also have to stop those other functions I always still do, because you feel it, but sometimes you are not aware of it. And here also, I mean, a tree which is, I mean, this one is still alive, but if a tree dies or the trunk is cut, you have still the roots, and you have, as I said, the roots are huge, and the roots are going on to live. As you see it, also the dormant bud, it's sprouted out because it received the energy still from the soil. So, and here also in Switzerland, protection forests are important against the stones, slide. And so if we also cut trees in protection forests, we know that we have around 5 to 10 years time to get other strong trees, to have trees with root systems, but roots cut from dead trees, they still are for 5 or 10 years, they can keep the soil. So for us, it's also important. I mean, yes, even you are in a low energy mood, you still fulfill lots of functions. And here it's also for you, which functions do I still fulfill, even if I'm low energy? And to whom do they serve? To me, to the environment, and which of them are really important for my existence, but also as we are in an ecosystem, for the ecosystem of the whole, for your family, for instance. And now, in this situation, this is, I like to describe that tree in the center you see. And here you are open to share with all of us, what do you see if you look at that tree? And I say it's like you look from far from that tree. How do you describe it? What do you observe?
It has some white spots. I don't know if it's fungi or something on the bark.
Here, this one?
Especially, yeah, and especially on the upper branch to the right, it's even more visible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some damages also. There's some kind of scarves on this bark. So, and on the upper crown, there's some kind of splits as well.
Thank you, Vitalia.
And there is the branch that we can see in front that seems to be or has been a way which didn't work. Maybe it was for helping the tree, but it seems not to really have worked, because there is a dead branch to the right on the picture. Well, it must be to the left then. And it seems as if the function is not any longer there. And I also recognize the wounds in the tree bark, but still the tree is very vital, I think, and is very much alive, and spreads its branches out to the left and to the right, and it does really want to get the light and really wants to live, though it has been wounded in its life.
Thank you, Susanna. So I invite you now that we are going closer to the to the tree. So we actually go around to the tree. And what do you observe now, or what do you see?
It's the same tree, just on the other side.
Yeah, it's the same tree, just, you know, if you do around.
It's funny because the more intact side, which we already observed some damages on that side as well, that's to the street. So you have to go around to see that it's basically dead from that side. But dead, but with a lot of life in it.
I wonder how it still could look that alive, because I don't know whether this is right, but I learned that when the bark has not contact around the whole tree, it would die, and it hasn't, obviously. So this tree can't really be alive so very much longer, I suppose. But it is not dead either, because it still has its leaves, and it looks very much alive from the other side. How? Please explain, Karin.
Yes, I will. I mean, it's true. The bark is the one which keeps the tree alive. And I mean, I just show you another picture also from the closer. And you see half of the tree is still, you know, the bark is functioning, is connected to the tree. And here, between the bark and that wood, which is already going to compose the trees, they have a function that when you have a disease, they start to do compartments. They make limits in the wood. So that's like actually I should have shown you maybe in the next one. That's here. It separates. I mean, you can't see it. It would be a question, but I mean, the long as the half of the tree is standing, the tree will, because the roots, you have to imagine the roots are still half of them, even more half of them, they are there. So he has the balance to stand. He has half of the bark to get the nutrients from the water, and from the soil to maintain half, I see a part of his tree. And this one is just going to decompose, but maybe I should just a second. Maybe here, it's not, you see, this is the bark. And then when a tree has a disease in the timber, it makes like a line here, like a compartment. And then the other side, which is dead, it will going dead, but it's like a wound. If we have a wound, we also heal. So the thing which is in the healthy department of a timber remains healthy and fulfills the function. I mean, I believe that this tree still can stand for 10 years or longer. And for me, the message is to us, I mean, yeah, always, sometimes we just look shortly at the situation. You know, we look from far, or if we look at, you know, my son, I mean, from far, he looks like healthy or no problem. And sometimes often we don't take the situation to just go close and look at a topic or a situation from all the different directions. So it's for me to also to invite you to sometimes change perspective, take the time to go closer to something. I would like to go on with the walk. So actually now we are in a step 3 where we maintain my energy balance. I gave you some pictures or some strategies. So now we go forward to letting go, an important thing. So actually, if you think, when do trees let fall their leaves? Yeah, normally in my country, it's in autumn, because that's the natural rhythm. Because for winter, the broadleaf trees, they leave their leaves. That's a natural process. It's a rhythm which is regular. So it's like, yeah, it's a ritual to do it. I decide not autumn to let go unimportant thing. But also those unimportant things, I mean, like the leaves. If a tree let go his leaves, what does happen to these leaves? They start getting decomposing. They provide valuable nutrients, which afterwards the same tree maybe can take again to restart, to having energy to make more branches. And also for you, sometimes we have to let go unimportant things because we can't do each and everything. So we let it go to the ground, but maybe a year later or something like that, you can have a benefit out of that because you let 2 or 3 things go. And here in this situation, there are ash trees, they have a disease. So actually, it's a mushroom from a Japanese disease who prevents the ash to do. It stops the water, you know, process, because the disease goes into the leaf, and there it stops the tube which provides water from down to up. So actually, that's why the leaves going to decompose, to fall down, because that disease impacts that the tree cannot have more water. And so there are also sometimes you can have, you know, rituals where you do with intention, that you say, oh, each Friday, I think, what can I let go from all the week I assumed? Or there are some special events, you know, which has a huge impact on you, where you say, now I have really to pause and to say, to reflect, what is the most important I have to keep for myself to work, to function, and what all can I let go? And this I like to, for this I gave you this picture to remind on that. When we go to the next step, it's actually balancing my drivers. And here it's my drivers is actually my voices, or I mean, what are the motivations, or what are the voices? And here it's, maybe you know, the model of Schulz von Thun with his inner team. And this is in that picture. And the inner team is, maybe you feel that you like to do something, but then you have an inner voice, or you have lots of inner voices which say, oh yes, Sunday I like to go out in the forest to do my walk. But then you have another voice which says, oh no, I have so many things to do, I can't. Why should I actually go in the forest? Or another voice which says, oh, it's raining, so it doesn't make sense to go in the forest. So you have an objective, you like to do something, but sometimes you feel that you start thinking, oh, you have different, different voices, and they prevent sometimes, or they direct you in a direction. And here, if you look at the stems, you see also, as I said, I mean, the motivations or the values, it's inside you. So it's also inside the trees. And if you look here at the stem, lots of different stem, you see also they have tensions, they have those cracks, because wood, if it dries, it starts getting such cracks, and they always start from the center. You also see some stems, they don't have really those ruptures. So now I like to invite you to do also another practice, which is also from healing flow. I mean, from this Japanese practice, which is, you put, like in the picture, you take the left hand and put with the right hand on the middle finger, and you look that the right hand is under the middle finger of the left hand. And this actually is a exercise to release tension and stress. And I mean, it only works if you do it regularly. And here I like that we look at those stems, and you just reflect on a situation where you feel your inner voices. Just to experience what inner voices do you have. And I just like that you are in 1 minute in the moment with that hand position, looking at those stems, and just think, what kind of inner voices do you experience when do you like to do something? what drivers do you hear? If you are ready, I invite you to go on with our walk. So actually, we were now looking at our drivers, like how the wood looks like. We actually also looked how is our bark. I mean, and also how limits the bark or protects the bark us, the timber, from the outside. And if we now go to the next step, how do we set, keep, or open our limits, my limits? I just also invite you to share with all of us, what do you now observe at that different bunches of stems? How do those stems set limit? What do you see, observe?
Seems that there is different thickness of the bark and different intensity also of color. Some are kind of very almost black, and other ones are grayish.
Thank you, Vitalia.
And some of them have in the core very dark and very pronounced, that here it ends, the darkness. And some also look like they haven't cracked evenly, but there's some rigidity with the cracking.
And there is one down to the right of the picture, which has a broken bark.
Mm-hmm.
There are some others too, actually.
Mm-hmm. So actually here you see different ways of how they delimit themselves. I mean, I said, tree species have different thickness of barks. And then, for instance, the one which is on the left bottom, there is one which has those like two light, like radians, and these are actually branches where it was going out, so that's actually a separation. And then you also see on that stem between bark and wood, there is a circle which is darker. So actually timber, they do have, you know, the central wood, and the central wood is in the core, and that's the part which once a tree gets bigger, it starts getting no more, that one is responsible for the stability, but it's like those cells are crystallized. I mean, they are like that. I mean, they are no more intact, but that's like, but this is then the valuable wood. And the things which are brighter, they are still somehow living. So this is this kind of compartments. This is naturally, but in diseases, they do these compartments irregularly. And here is also the question to you. I mean, how do you set your limits? I mean, is it just the bark? Or do you also have inside in the timber, I look your ground principles, as I said, attitudes or principle, where you have like, this is my limit and I don't go further. And then actually in the next slide, but here we won't do this. I did twice those walk, and then which obviously also goes 3.5 hours. I went and I invite then the people to do groups and to discuss among themselves how they address conflicts and what are their needs, to figure out. It's unfortunately in German, but you have 2 stems, and if you imagine, if you have to set your limits, you usually have to say no to something, and usually it's something which is important to someone else. So then to not hurt the other when the other has he asks you for a favor, somehow like, can you now pick me up from the train station? And then you are in the kitchen doing preparation for lunchtime. And then in this situation, what are you doing? What is your need? And actually, what is the need of your, I mean, maybe your son to be picked up from the station? So in that situation, it's good first to perceive that request. So his request is, please pick me up from the train station. And then the second one is, what does he has? What is his need to be picked up? So reflect, what is the need of the other to ask you that request? And with this reflection in mind, look what this request impact on you? I mean, do you get angry? Oh, the son again is going to get picked up, or I'm just relaxed. Okay, I just do it again. And also to feel what impacts, what creates that request from my son to myself. And then to feel what is the feeling I become, and then to ask yourself, what is the need that I like to fulfill myself? What need do I stick on? I mean, in this example, maybe, I like to have a really well-prepared lunch for whole the family. So I will say to my son then, I reply to him and say, I understand your request to be picked up. For me, I like really to offer you a well-prepared lunch. So I just request you to take either a taxi or to go on foot or whatever. So, and then just to answer to his request, to give him another request, just to request him to do this and this in order that you fulfill your needs. I don't know whether it's understandable, my explanation. And this is somehow like, for me, you can visualize it, you know, on different tree stems, as each and every stem has a different way of growing, different drivers, different, you know, maybe broken barks. So how do you, if in such situation, what all do you like to consider? And what do you think I have to remain by myself to consider my needs? And here it would then be that it's a small discussion about how you address conflicts. What are your mechanisms? I don't know whether you like to do it as a group. I mean, I look a bit on the time, but as we are small, it could be possible. Or I just invite you to go forward with the next step.
I think because of time, we should be just going forward, but it's good to know that this is what you would normally do. And yeah, so let's just move forward then.
Yeah, thanks also still for being with me.
Thank you. May I put just one question? I didn't want to go into the subject, but rather I actually struggle a little bit with the context here. I can't see. I do understand your situation that you were talking about. I even am German, so I can read it. But what I really don't succeed with is to see the context with the trunks. I don't manage that. Do you have one or two sentences to maybe explain it in a different way if we have the time? If not, I just have to reflect on it. Maybe I would succeed anyway.
For me, it's just each person has a bark, has a skin. So there are people who have, you know, a thinner skin because they are more, you know, and then it's like, how do you address your people who have, you know, you have feelings? I mean, they are rapidly hurt, or they are stronger. And then also reflect on what is their inner drivers. I mean, they are really also having strong wood, which is, and they have already, you know, also a strong limitation. So if I mean, it's just to take in account that each and every person is different. So as also those stems are different. And so maybe you have sometimes to keep that in mind. That's like, I hope that's fine for you, Susan.
It absolutely is. It was the sentence I really needed. Maybe
Okay.
I was a bit slow now,
No.
but it actually, that was the sentence. The bark is what you can see, thinner or thicker, and then you've got the inner life, which you can't really see, and there are limitations too, and ways of living and needs. Thank you so much.
Thanks. So here, actually, in this picture is the step 8 is, I mean, we have a room of action and we have a scope. And then that room of action, we always have to align to the certain circumstance. And if you now look at those pictures, you see we have a fence, like a wooden fence, that makes like a border. How does your border sometimes look like? Here is still open. You have fences which are, you know, closed like walls. You also have the lake, and you see there is the green, and you see traces in this lake. So actually you have lots of different opportunities to cross a lake. I mean, there are lots of different ways of doing it. So to think also what ways of doing is you have, maybe you are limited by something because the lake is protected, that not people jumping in, or that the animals within are protected. And the lake, in that lake, you have still lots of room of action. So how do I take actions? And also, sometimes there are situations I can't take action. And then I have to delegate, maybe, to put off my responsibility and to say, I can't take those actions. So here is to think, what situations can I change? And what situations I have to acknowledge how they are. And if I can't change a situation, how can I let go? And also, how can I say, I'm not responsible for that situation. That situation is like that, but I can't do that thing. So in that moment, you are also aware that it's not always your responsibility, and you address it and you say, I mean, you limit. You put the limit, you say, in the wood, you draw that compartment and you say, the situation is like that, but I'm not responsible. So you start also to delimit yourself, to keep your energy with you. And this I like to give you with this picture. Then what also we go on with our walk, and normally I here do a mindfulness exercise to anchor what we experience. And here is to connect. We stand, we are rooted, well, we are standing stable, and then in a meditation, we start getting trees. So our feet becoming roots, you are well anchored on the soil. Our head becoming a crown, we are stand up tight, strong. And then we are getting more in that meditation. And in this part, I put that citation of Ilan Shamir, an advice from a tree. So stand tall and proud. Let the roots sink deep into the earth. reflect the light of a greater power. Think long term. Stretch out your arms. Be flexible. Remember your roots. Enjoy the view. And after this, I invite them always, still in the meditation, to go on all the pictures we experienced. So that we take 1 or 2 pictures and you with yourself think again, what was that tree? We looked at it from outside, it looked somehow healthy. But on the backside, we saw it was sick. Or we saw the ash tree with the falling leaves. And this, it's somehow like 15 minutes we are in this situation and we go through different pictures so that you for yourself anchor what you reflect. But here I just shorten and go to the next step. And here it's maintaining my network as the step 9 for strengthening resilience. So here I like that actually picture because it's really like a network of those 3 beech trees which are connected to each and everyone. And here I invite the participants for the next walk we do for the next stop to reflect how do I reload my batteries? What is my network where I can gain energy? With whom can I exchange, hard or difficult situations? So how do I really settle in my network where I can get energy and feel, like kept from my network? And then in the remaining step is like to reflect, how can I now anchor those 9 steps? So, and to be there in peace and in my strength. So for me, it's always also the question to you, do you have places or rituals where you strengthen your resilience, where you go? I mean, maybe in the forest, you have a bench. You always know, if I have a problem, and I know I have now a problem, I go to that bench, sit down and pause for an hour and just like doing it as a ritual. Or maybe you have a stone, an energy stone in the pocket. And whenever you feel, just touch it. That can be a help to anchor and also to start that kind of process with these 10 steps, to do it again in situations where you feel you should do it. And that's what I liked to share with you. I'm sorry for being too, for taking so much time to do this kind of virtual forest. And yeah, and here I just thank you again for also participating actively, and for Katrina and Vitalia to allow me to have this space. And yeah, now I just like to give back the floor to all of you. Maybe you have some feedbacks, or thank you. Maybe
I would like to say thank you, and I would like to really say you did not take too much time. It was a very, very good walk and much of inspiration. And I really enjoyed your walk. So thank you so much, Karin.
I will stop the.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to close I'm going to close the recording right away and give the floor to Antje Juhad. So thank you, Karin.